Ashwagandha. Is it a bunch of BS or does it work? Welcome to part 3 of our supplement education series where we look at supplements and supplement ingredients, some of the claims out there about them, and we see what the research literature has to say about it. Promotes vitality and strength. Clinically proven to reduce stress. Boost testosterone and fertility, increase muscle mass and strength. A lot of studies here to touch on, so we're going to fly through them. This is 8 weeks of either ashwagandha or a placebo for overweight, aging males aged 40 to 70 who had some mild fatigue. You'll see this in a few of the studies here, but it is randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled crossover, which is basically as good as it gets for studies. Neither the participants nor the researchers know who's getting what, and everyone got both things, 8 weeks of one, 8 weeks of the other. This study had blood draws, and what we saw was after taking ashwagandha, we had increases in both testosterone and DHEA, which is basically a precursor to some of our steroid hormones, but no changes in other measures like cortisol and fatigue. This study had 60 days of either ashwagandha or a placebo in stressed but otherwise healthy adults. Those taking ashwagandha had lower morning cortisol levels as well as displayed lower anxiety levels. There's that decrease in morning cortisol. There's also a decrease in morning DHEA and a significant increase in testosterone in the ashwagandha group, although that's just when it's compared against itself. There's not a significant difference when compared against the placebo. So far, we're looking at promising evidence for improving testosterone, decreasing measures of stress. What about trained individuals and those claims about muscle mass and strength? Here we have active men who train and took either ashwagandha or a placebo for 12 weeks, looking at a few performance measures and body comp using DEXA. The way they identified the training status of these individuals was very confusing. It says training no more than 2 to 3 days a week for 6 to 12 months. Confusing wording, but we treat these as trained individuals. Since we are looking at muscle mass, we always want to see did they have any nutritional control, which they did using food diaries. It's obviously not as good as providing every single meal for everybody, but that's not financially plausible for most studies. Also, they trained 4 days a week for 12 weeks using an upper-lower split. The ashwagandha group saw significantly greater increases in 1 rep max on both bench and squat, but no improvement in body composition. Some evidence for strength, not for muscle mass. Here's a study on individuals with a minimum training age of 4 years, 8 weeks of either ashwagandha or a placebo while continuing their own training split that they'd been doing. They tested 1 rep max on bench, squat, lat pull, and seated military press. We saw no significant differences between ashwagandha or placebo on any of those individual lifts, but we did see a greater increase in the total amount of weight lifted between all 4 lifts. The 2 groups had significantly different baseline strength levels, so this isn't really the best study, but we just don't have that much evidence on the effect in well-trained individuals. So we do see evidence on improving stress and testosterone, but we don't see evidence of that in trained populations. Haven't seen evidence to support hypertrophy, although we would be curious if there is an effect based on those testosterone levels. And we see some mixed evidence as far as strength gains. So is ashwagandha BS? Not entirely. We need more literature to see which is coming, but it does seem positive. My takeaway is it may be worth giving a try if you don't mind the cost, but no promises until we see more evidence.